Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to math for today. We are starting a new unit, which is called, sorry, we should go to a new page in your notebook. And please write down patterns and equations. And as you learned from our textbook hunt yesterday, we're working with chapter number 1. So I always find that the way the textbooks organize is weird because I think this chapter, even though it's like unit 1, chapter 1, I think it's one of the hardest, which is why I do not like starting with it in September. But you guys are ready for it now. So the goal is to get through as much of this kind of hard stuff as we can before Ramadan. Basically within the next kind of like 2 weeks, and then we will ease off a little bit once we get into Ramadan. So, all right, here is the first I can statement. So the subheading should be patterns in tables. And then the I can statement is I can represent and describe patterns and relationships using graphs and tables. Okay, so patterns in numbers and then how numbers relate to one another using graphs and tables. We're going to be using tables to begin, and then later on we're going to go over to graphs. Okay, so tables is kind of the first one for the first little bit. Yeah, this is really one I can statement. That's probably going to last us for at least a week or so. Okay, all right, here we go. So patterns. There is quite a bit of printing today, so if you need to stop and pause me, you can. I'm going to carry kind of like a swift pace though, okay? So a pattern this is one of the things you had to figure out yesterday. It's a set of numbers or figures, because sometimes we have to work with problems that are like pictures or symbols that are related by a specific rule. So that means that if there's a pattern, it's not just like random. We would know that we would kind of be able to predict what the next number is going to be. So for example, if like the weather is increasing by a degree every single day, for example, then we'd easily be able to predict it. That would be the specific rule. It's increasing by a degree every day. Okay. So, oh yeah, fancy schmancy name. If your parents want to ask you, what did you do in math today? You can say, oh, we learned about arithmetic sequences, which is basically a fancy name for a pattern. Okay, so there are 2 different types of patterns. They can be either finite, and I would be asking you right now what you think finite means. The root word of definite is finite, which means comes to a stop, okay? So it has a definite end point. Or it can be infinite, which we know a symbol that relates to infinite. And I think if you know infinity and beyond, it means that it continues forever. And this could be shown by an ellipses. So we use that sometimes in writing, but it's basically 3 dots, okay, to show that the pattern will continue. Or the symbol, I would draw this. It looks like this. We have this on our math wall, right? It goes like into infinity. It's like an 8, but on its side. That's what the symbol for infinite means. Okay, all right, so examples in our world of where we might have an infinite pattern. Well, that could be, I guess, something related to like age, infinite. Could be related to, let's see, maybe like the population on Earth, possibly. Finite, we would hope that there's a definite finite endpoint to coronavirus. That could be kind of a good example where we hope there's a definite end pattern. It's not just going to go on and on forever. Okay, if you think of other examples, you can share those too. All right, types of patterns. Okay, so 3 types that we're going to be mainly learning about. The first type is a repetition pattern, okay? So basically, that's kind of like Mr. Dave. I'm sure you guys have learned about repetition patterns in music. So that's basically where we have like a core group, and then it just repeats itself. So 2, 8, 2, 9, and then it repeats itself. 2, 8, 2, 9, and then 2, 8. Okay, then maybe it would go on. So that's where a core group, like I said here, repeats itself over and over. So that's like the smallest possible section that you can find. So we wouldn't continue the core group to all of them. You try to find like the smallest amount that you could. Okay. The next type of pattern is an increasing pattern. This is kind of self-explanatory. It just means that the pattern is always building, or building or increasing or expanding or growing. And then there also is a decreasing pattern. Again, self-explanatory. It's just the numbers are getting smaller. So yeah, shrinks or become smaller. Usually if it's a decreasing pattern, it would have an endpoint. The patterns that we're going to be doing in grade 6 will not go below 0. When you go to grade 7, then you will go into negative integers, but we're not going to be doing that in grade 6, even though I know that you probably could. So increasing, what symbols do you think we would use? What type of operations do you think we would use for increasing? I can hear you saying addition and multiplication. If it's decreasing, it would be, I can hear you, it would be subtracting and dividing. Okay. All right, so pattern rules. This is the input-output machines. You guys probably remember this from grade 5. So this is the main work that we're doing today. That earlier stuff was kind of just like background, okay? This is the main work that we're going to be doing today, is on generating different pattern rules. So a pattern rule is like a recipe. It tells us what type of math we do. So it tells us if we're using multiplication or division, and it tells us what type of number we're also using. Maybe it's times by 2, maybe it's divided by 4. Okay, so that's the recipe. Oh, like it's cool how it relates to what we just did. So we would write it something like this. You probably remember this from grade 5. So we start at some number, and then we would either say increasing or decreasing by multiplying by 4 each time. Okay, so here we would say either increasing or decreasing. Then we would say the operation. So what are we doing? Is it multiply? Is it divide? Is it subtract? And then by how much? Okay, so this might be ringing a bell for you. If you had a highlighter, I would suggest that you put a box around this. So whenever I'm asking you to write a pattern rule, maybe you wanted to highlight this and then highlight this, okay? Because this is what the majority of our work today is going to be, to determine these pattern rules. Okay, so input-output machines. I think you might remember this from grade 5. So this is where, so input-output machines are where we either make an increasing or a decreasing pattern. We kind of get rid of this repetitive stuff. We don't really do that so much. It's just me increasing and decreasing. Okay. There's always an operation, so like multiply, divide, subtract, or what did I say? Subtract, add, multiply, or divide, and then by a value. So it's going to be a full, mostly full numbers. Okay? So, oh yeah, operations, blah, and then value could be any digit. Okay. And then, okay, so this instruction, right, is part of the rule. Okay, this will make more sense as we go through examples. Oh yeah, this is the trick for grade 6. There could be machines that have more than one, there could be input-output machines that have more than one like actual machine. So it could be 2 operations and values, but we're not gonna be doing those today, so don't worry. Okay, here is an example. So you could write this out. If we were in class, I would have had these printed for you and glued into your book, but we don't have that. So you could copy this one down. So the in 919 something, okay, out over here. All right. So, so for the input rule, that means if we're going from in to out, that's the input rule. We would say start at, oh, I'm going to have to draw this. Okay. This gives you guys a moment to kind of catch up here. Okay. So the input rule goes this way. Okay, I'm going to even kind of show it like this. Okay, this is my green one. So we're going to start at 9. And then are we going to increase or decrease? We're going to, I'm just going to kind of be lazy and put increase. But you can do that too, it's fine. Increase by, oh no, wait, that's wrong. Silly me. We are not increasing. We are, whoops. We are going down, right? What on earth am I doing here? Okay, draw. Why is this not working? Draw. Okay, there we go. Okay, so we are decreasing by, how much are we going down by each time? The thing is, it has to work for every single one. So, well, I think that I'm subtracting by 4. Do you agree? Does that work for this one? Yep. Does it work for this one? Yep. And then this one, we should check at least 3. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to subtract by 3 each time, right? Operation here, and the value goes here, okay? Now, if we were to be doing the opposite way, if I was to do the output pattern rule, that means we're going to be going the opposite direction, okay? Sometimes they ask those questions too. So output, I'm going to start at 5, and then now I'm going to be increasing, okay? I'm going to increase by how much? Well, it's just going to be the opposite, by adding 4. What am I saying? 4. Sorry guys, this should be a 4. What am I thinking? 4 each time. Hope you knew that. I hope you were correcting me in your houses. Okay, there we go. Excellent. Okay, next one is this. Okay. Okay. Oh, maybe this is just the same thing. Oh yeah, this is just the same thing. Okay. So it's just the exact same thing. All right. So this is your homework for today. Pages 2 and 3 in the workbook. I would like you to do all of the questions, but you do not have to do stretch your thinking. And that is due tomorrow. Okay. I will show this to you super quickly here, and then we'll be done our lesson for today. So if you already have your workbook handy, then you're golden. So this is page 2. So the same thing, okay? Except for this one, they tell you what's happening. So here you have to increase by 8. So pretty easy, you just increase by 8, okay? Then you have to write the pattern rule. That's the key thing. Start at increase by whatever each time. Okay, and then the same thing over here. They're gonna ask you for the input rule. Then you do not have to do this one down here if you don't want to. Okay, all right, so, and this is due tomorrow, Wednesday. Okay, that's it. Good job for today. See you tomorrow.